Yo, what's up, everybody? On this episode of the Reason and Reps podcast, we have our first female guest, Megan Olson. Hope you enjoy.
All right, everyone, we are live here. It is Dave joined by Megan Olson. This is the Reason and Reps podcast. You're going to have to forgive us. Megan and I just said that we are both tired. It's Saturday, it's 9 in the morning, and we have a lot to do today. So, first things first, Megan, appreciate you joining today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure, my pleasure. So, funny enough, so you guys know I own a gym in Phoenixville, Oaks area, PA. Megan came in with her boyfriend. They signed up, so I'm very happy about that. And come to find out, we were in the same show out in Harrisburg. So talk to me a little bit about how that went, the OCB show in Harrisburg.
Yeah, it was really good. It was personally one of my favorite shows. I've only competed, that was my third show. I had won the previous weekend in Virginia.
Nice.
Um, so my first show was very much a learning curve for me. It was super fun, but I didn't come in how I wanted, and I would kind of put myself down about it. But I knew that I could come back better, so I wanted to use, my off season to really put in the work and come in next show even better. So coming into Harrisburg, I was super excited. I knew I looked my absolute best, and I just had so much fun with it.
That's awesome. That's great. So you're the first female that I've had on the podcast here. This is only the third episode. I'm not clear on the differences in the categories for women when they compete. So, do you want to help the other females out there that might watch and explain the categories and what the judges look for? Because that's really confusing to me.
Yeah, I'm not an expert in anything other than wellness, but I can give like the basic rundown.
Cool.
So there's bikini, wellness, and figure, and then you have your physique and bodybuilding. So physique and bodybuilding are the jacked women. They are
Right.
the best of the best.
Yep.
And figure is like defined upper body with also a defined lower body, a little bit more proportional compared to wellness, which is what I do. Wellness is more of like lower body dominant, but you still have your defined upper body. You're just not as proportional. And then bikini, you are proportional, but you are lean. You have like smaller but still defined muscles.
Interesting.
Bikini
Okay.
popular because wellness wasn't a category until, I might get this wrong, like 3, 4 years ago. And
Interesting.
that's why I started competing, because I knew I wouldn't be able to fit into bikini because I have bigger glutes. So I was like, well, I have to then build my upper body to figure, but I couldn't quite get there. So wellness was for me.
Good stuff. Yeah, on the men's side, I think a lot of us. So I do men's physique, so that's
Mhm.
board shorts for people that aren't familiar. So a lot of us are confused at this point with what the judges are looking for, because in men's physique, and they don't do this in OCB, but at other organizations, you can cross over and you can
Yeah.
on that same day like be in classic and men's physique.
Okay.
But what confuses me is, well, is men's physique a different look, or is it just guys that don't have their legs built out? Because you'll have guys that do well in classic and men's physique,
Yeah.
and I don't think that they should cross over. You know what I mean? But it seems like they
Yeah.
do.
So from my understanding too, like I always just thought of like board shorts as like, okay, you have a pretty defined upper body. Like you have your blocky abs, you have your V taper, but your legs just might not quite be there. Whereas
Yeah.
like you have legs and they're there. But so like I competed in NPC my first show, so I've seen crossover like that. I've seen classic and men's physique, and I've seen all the guys crossover before.
Yeah, I've
So
seen that too. What NPC show did you do?
I did NPC Philly. It was like April of 2024 or
I was there too. Oh,
oh,
wait, you did it 2023 or you did it this year or last year?
last year.
Okay, gotcha. So I did that one this year.
Okay, okay. How
Yeah,
was it?
it was good. NPC is not tested, so you kind of
Yeah,
go without
yeah.
like the highest expectations. But yeah, it went well. So the first show I did was with a smaller natural organization, NGA. Are you familiar
Okay.
with them?
No, I've never heard.
Okay, so they have a natural show that they do in Philly every year, Northeast Philly.
Okay.
My first show was last year, April 2023. So I did the NGA Philly show.
Okay.
Then I took the rest of the year off. This year I did the NPC show. I guess it was in March. The NGA show in April. Then I did an ANBF show. You ever hear of that league?
No.
Okay, you should check them out. There's a lot of natural shows out there. So I did the ANBF show, which was my first pro show in May, and then I
O-
just did the amateur OCB show with you. I guess that was 3 weeks ago at this point.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, this OCB show was my first natural show. So my first show I ever did was NPC. So I kind of went in thinking, oh, this is what the expectation is. I didn't realize there was like natural federations out there. And then I've
Yeah,
discovered.
yeah, and I'm telling you, there's a couple. So OCB, I think, is the biggest one. Like this past show we did, I've never competed with that many people,
Yeah, no, that
and
was
it was crazy. And I'll be honest with you too, for an amateur level show, like people came through right.
oh,
Like seriously, I've done some of these shows before where, and I'm not knocking anybody. It takes a lot of courage just to get on stage. That puts
oh,
you in a
sure.
rare class. But I've been in shows where like people barely even have abs, and you're just looking around the room like, I got this in the bag. Once people started pumping up at that OCB show, I'm like, I came into it pretty sure of myself because that was my best look, and I'm like, damn, this is going to be harder than I thought.
Yeah, that's how I felt in my Virginia show. And then I got screwed over with the judging, but neither here nor.
Ah, well, talk to me a little bit about that.
So I guess, like I went in, did my novice. So I competed in novice and open because I had never won novice before. And I swept novice. And usually novice and open are the same girls minus maybe like one or two.
Mm,
But it happened to be all of the same girls this time. And there was also debut at my show, but I couldn't do that because I competed in NPC. Um,
right.
so we get to open, and I was like, I have this in the bag. I just won novice, and then I placed third against girls that I had just beat prior. So,
So
but
you're on stage with the same girls that you beat in novice that you didn't beat in open, same judges?
yep.
Yes. See, did anyone explain that to you or what
I
happened?
for judges' feedback, and they, said that my posing had declined a couple
Huh.
minutes prior. So I just took the feedback and said, I need to get leaner anyway. So I'm just going to come in leaner next time and sweep it.
Yeah, that's the right attitude to have with this because at the end of the day with these shows, you never know who's going to show up. You know what I mean? Like you can come through the best that you've ever looked,
Yeah.
and someone they just might be further along their path than you are, and like that happened to me at this past show in the pump room. Like I said, I was looking around. I'm like, I think I got him beat. Think I got him. That's going to be tough. And then there was the one guy. I'm like, ah, damn, I'm
Yeah.
getting second. You know what I mean? So. And then I ended up getting third, but it's all good. It's a journey.
Yeah. I think this show and like doing these two shows back to back, because this was the first time I had done that. And I wasn't necessarily planning on doing it. When I signed up for Harrisburg, I got told that I was the only wellness girl. So I wouldn't be able to get any sort of pro card or really compete against anyone. So that's why I signed up for the Virginia show a week prior so that I had a chance this season because
Right.
I looked way better than I had thought I could. So I said, I don't want to waste this prep. I want to compete. Um, but then I think after doing these two shows, I started to have a mindset of not comparing myself to other people because you do never know who's going to step on stage with you. You know, you could go to a show where you look insane, and then the next weekend you go to another show and people just come in shredded. and you really have no idea. So I stopped comparing myself to other people, and I was like, I look at myself show day and I say, I've could not have looked better coming into this. So I can't be mad at anything else. I just need to enjoy the day, have fun because I look insane. And then that kind of switched my mentality of why I'm competing.
Yeah, I think that's important for people to hear, and that's a common theme with everyone that I've spoken to so far. Is you can only control what you can control. Are you better than you were last time?
Yep.
And you have to keep it moving. You have to live with the results, and that's just that. So, are
Yeah.
you doing any other shows this year?
Not this year. I have been having some talk about maybe doing like an NPC natural show, as well as my ultimate goal is to get my OCB pro card and
Right.
then compete pro and then go to the Yorton Cup. But, I do like competing locally just because I find that it takes a lot of stress away since you don't have to travel. So, I'm just trying to find local shows, local natural shows. So I think probably around this time next year, I'll compete again, just because I think that timeline of cutting right before summer is nice.
Yeah, it's a good point. Get ready for the beach, right? Two birds,
Yeah.
one stone.
Yep.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. So let's take it a step back and talk about how you got into fitness to begin with.
Mhm.
So were you always into sports? Were you always athletic? How'd you go down this path?
So in high school, I played soccer. Um, I wasn't great, wasn't bad. I just kind of did it for fun. I was always smaller. Like I was maybe 90 pounds in high school, 5'2". So
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah, sports, in high school, everyone starts to grow and gets their growth spurts, and I just didn't. So I always felt like intimidated playing against other girls in high school. So I wasn't great and I didn't really put too much effort into it. But then going to college, I had two majors in forensic science and chemistry. So I
Mm.
didn't really have time for sports. So I just did intramurals, but I also would go to the gym and lift. And this was like kind of the first time I started getting into lifting just to keep my body active. And then COVID hit my senior year. And I was like,
Mm.
what can I do? So I was like, maybe I should just go to the gym because I mean, you couldn't really do anything else. So I was like, spend 2 hours in the gym, just getting used to it, figuring it out, finding your way. Um, and then I did a few of like the apps that you download, like personal trainer apps from like some people I found on Instagram. And then that really got me like out of my gym anxiety and into, oh, I really like this. I enjoy this and I want to keep doing this. But I wasn't dieting properly. So, like,
Ah.
I would go to the gym and hit a great lift and then go eat Chick-fil-A and ice cream later. So I was like, okay, this is great, but I want to see where my body can take me. Um, so then when I met my boyfriend, he is actually a trainer. So I was like, okay, well, why don't we, put me through a good diet and an actual like training program to see how you like it and see how your body reacts to it all. And I fought him on bodybuilding and I said, I want to power lift. Don't know why,
Mm.
but I fought him on it. And he was like, you know what, if you want to power lift, let's do it. So I trained powerlifting for a little while and I loved it until I was like, this is realistically hurting my body more than it's helping because I was
Okay.
lifting over 2 times my body weight for, 1 to 2 reps. And I was like, okay, now my back hurts. So um, I was like, okay, maybe let's switch to bodybuilding. And he was like, I think you'll like it more than you think because I didn't want to step on stage for the longest time. I didn't want to put on the heels and the suit and be girly because I didn't think I had it in me because I've never done a sport or an activity that had to do with routine, being pretty on stage and all of that. But now my mindset's completely different because I don't think that competing is more so that it's more so showing everyone your best self. So once we figured out that genetically my body, was able to get where I wanted it to get, plus some, I was like, okay, like I like all these changes. Like when you do your first cut, you're like, wait, I have abs. So that got me into continuing bodybuilding.
Yeah, that's a really cool story there. So from your first show to your most recent show, the nerve and anxiety level, were you nervous the first time around and now you look forward to it, or what was the difference there?
Yeah, so I was definitely nervous my first show. I had also not seen a show before. Like I hadn't seen how one was run at all. Um, so going into it, I didn't even have any idea of where I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to do, other than I learned my routine and my posing. So going in, the backstage for my first show, the NPC Philly, was smaller, so I didn't get that pump up experience. I didn't get that practice posing. We didn't have that at that show. So I went in thinking that that's what every show was going to be like. So it just made me so nervous because I couldn't talk to my coach. I couldn't practice posing back there. It was all mental. And then when I went out, when you do your routine, you don't even remember what you do on stage. You do it, you come, and I'm like, what did I just do? So that's how my first show went. And then I was frustrated at how I placed, but then looking back at what I look like now versus what I looked like my first show, I it makes sense why I placed the way I did.
Night and day. Yeah, okay.
So then coming into the second show and seeing how I look, all the nerves left because I knew that I looked my best. So I wasn't worried. How can I slightly tweak my posing so that I can look slightly better because I didn't come in as conditioned? So I think my nerves were more, I wasn't conditioned enough. So I was panicking about all that. Coming into my second show, I knew what I was doing. I had my routine and I nailed everything. So I think
That's
it's
awesome.
a curve. Your first show is a learning curve. And then your ones after that slowly become better and better because you learn something new every show.
Yeah, that's a really important thing for people to hear who are thinking about competing for their first time. I have a lot of people here at the gym who are thinking about it, but they don't know what to expect. I know my first show, I was very nervous on stage. Like when I was in the pose, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like in
Yeah.
your head, you're thinking it's train wreck, but then you see everyone out in the crowd like, ah, you're doing great. Um, I think the biggest challenge for me is I did a smaller show, my first show, and they do it by weight class, right? So you have men's
Okay.
physique, amateur. I think the cutoff for weight was 153, so I was lightweight, men's
Okay.
physique, amateur, and I won that category. And then the middleweight, heavyweight, and lightweight winner, they all go on stage together, and then that's the open. That's how they do it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I got second in that. Now, because it was a smaller show, I was comparing myself to who was there, and I'm like, damn, like I really have it going on. Like I really think I have this natural bodybuilding thing on lock.
Yeah.
And then doing these bigger shows this year, it humbled me, and this was important. Like there's another level to this that I'm not at, but I'm not discouraged. I'm motivated.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's very similar to me. I mean, my first show was not natural, so I went in with the expectation of that's what everyone looks like. Um, and then coming into the natural show, I was like, oh, everyone's natural. We're all on the same playing field, but there's some freaks out there, genetic freaks. And I'm like, you look phenomenal. So,
Yeah. Now, how is it on the women's side? Like on the men's side, I always tell people, and they're surprised to hear this. Everyone is very friendly, ton of
yeah,
camaraderie. I feel like people respect the process because not many people put themselves through that level of scrutiny and their
yeah,
body through that stress. Is it the same on the women's side? Are people friendly or?
yeah. So most of the people that I've met that I like now connect through on Instagram, through all of our fitness pages, are a lot of people I've met backstage, even people I've competed against. Like everyone is super friendly about helping you step on stage, making sure you look your best, and hyping each other up backstage. I prefer shows with a larger backstage. I would even consider our Harrisburg show, even though they said it was a small stage, a pretty large backstage. Uh,
Yeah.
but everyone was able to like talk while we were pumping up. Everyone was, just trying to release all of their nerves by talking to everyone else. And I think that helps calm everyone down too, because you're either all nervous together or you're all not, but at least you all have each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And people are very surprised to hear that. Like, I think a regular person thinks of bodybuilders and that it's like some type of gladiator experience back there. Like we're all just mean mugging each other and,
Yeah.
being, giving everybody a hard time. But it's
Yeah.
definitely a really cool community. And I'm glad that we're both a part of it.
Yes. Same. I agree.
Awesome. All right. Well, Megan, I know that you have a training session here at Scale Tippers coming up pretty soon. So I'm going to let you run. Can you let the people know where they can find you on your socials and Instagram and all that?
Yeah. So Instagram and TikTok is Meg Ols Fitness.
Fantastic. All right, folks. Well, give her a follow. Megan is a trainer here at Scale Tipper. She's very busy, but if you could get onto her schedule, hit me up or reach out to her directly. Anything else you want to leave the people with before we hop?
No, that's it.
All set. All right. Well, I appreciate your time. This is Dave coming at you from Scale Tippers. Stay fit, stay free. Peace. See you next
Peace.
time. Later.